What's good, everyone? Welcome in episode one, role players. Excited to have you here with us. It's going to be a great interview today. My first guest, her name is Nakel McClinton. She's a good friend, someone that I have met through my travels throughout sport, and I think the conversation is going to be really solid. Full transparency, this project has been many months in the making and has had a couple changes. This interview was filmed back in December, right before the holidays. So we may mention some things about holidays. We may mention some things about some games on the NBA schedule. So that's why it's back then. We had to push the launch a little bit, but hey, we are going now, and the conversation is still going to be just as amazing and just as insightful and engaging. So we're really looking forward to having you hear this. A couple housekeeping items before we get started. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, thank you so much. I'm excited to have you here. Please like and subscribe to the podcast and add to your favorites so you can have all of the latest episodes right at your fingertips. If you're listening to us on YouTube and having a visual experience, we're excited to have you as well. Feel free to like and subscribe as well. Hit the little bell to make sure that you do not miss any future podcasts. The cadence will be a new episode every Tuesday from here on out. So do not miss an episode. Without further ado, here we go with my first interview with Nakel McClinton. Welcome, Nakel. It's great to see you. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So are you coming to us from Miami right now, or are you somewhere else in the United States?
I am. We're in Miami. We have a home game tonight against the Pacers. So I'm in my apartment in the Miami suburbs.
Amazing. And I see you've got the Heat swag on. That looks good.
I do.
So how much of your closet is Miami gear now?
So something that happened that was really cool. When I first got the job, they let you go in and they give you like a credit card and you're allowed to pick 3 things from the Heat store.
Love that.
So that was great. We got, like, everyone who travels got like a lot of gear to travel with, so that way you can always rep the team when you're on the road. But I have a lot of Heat stuff. And I try not to get into the habit of just wearing Heat stuff because like it's comfortable and it's easy to throw on, but probably like a third of my closet is Heat stuff now.
A third? Oh, that's some good percentages.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's great. Well, before we get too deep into it, welcome to Role Players. You are my first interview, and I'm super excited to be able to talk to you today. So in the spirit of the show, Role Players, please tell me and tell our audience what your role is. And then I'd love to hear who your favorite player is.
Yes. So I am the social media manager for the Miami Heat. I've been here since October 2021, so a little bit over a year. And I would say my favorite basketball player, period, is Candace Parker. I grew up in Northwest Indiana, so pretty close to Chicago. And she's from Naperville, so it's pretty close. And I always remember like watching sports with my dad. Like we'd watch the White Sox and the Bears and just anything that was on. But I remember seeing Candace Parker play at Tennessee and just her grit and how good she was. I was like, she is my favorite player. She's my first favorite athlete who I decided to watch on my own. And it's cool that she's still playing. And I know I'm going to cry whenever she retires. She said she's coming back this year, so that's good. But yeah, I had my parents drive down to Purdue to watch her first round NCAA tournament game. So I got to see her there. I saw her when she came to Chicago, when she was playing for the Sparks. Whenever I go home in the summer, I usually try to catch a WNBA game now that she plays for Chicago. I was thinking about it this year. I've been following her for like 15 years, which is crazy to think. Wow. Like that's over half my life.
Yeah. It is really amazing how like those crucial moments when we were kids watching sports like led us to, this career path. I definitely don't think I would be as interested in sports as I am now if I didn't start at a young age, like watching, and it was players, like individual players, more so than teams, that really kind of got me into following and doing research and now working in sports. So that's amazing.
Mhm.
So let's dive into your role, social media manager at the Heat. You said you started a little over a year ago.
Mhm.
How has it been since then? What's your day to day, and how do you kind of live and work in that environment?
So day to day varies all the time, as you probably know, working in sports too. Right now we're in season and we are prepping for the holidays, prepping for All-Star. So working on holiday content, um, working on games. So it's a game day. So we're doing that type of content on our channels today. Working on All-Star. All-Star voting is December 20th through
That's
January
right.
21st.
Mm-hmm.
So promoting that content. Um, I just feel like my brain's always going. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I'm constantly thinking about what we can do to promote our players, to keep the Heat culture alive on our channels. So just like a typical day. Right now, I've had a pretty easy morning. It's like 12:50, and I'll go into the office at like 3 to 4. Um, I had to post a few things. We had some player holiday events yesterday and this morning, so getting content up from those. Going into the office later this afternoon, prepping anything I need to do before the game. Game starts at 8. So during the games, during home games, I am tweeting. So I'm the one behind Twitter. We have a team. Someone does Facebook and Instagram. Someone does Instagram story. Someone is doing like the arena account and the dancers account. So we have a pretty good social team. We're pretty lucky for that. But yeah, I'll be on Twitter tweeting the game, however it goes. They'll probably make us hold our breath into the last 5 seconds like they've been doing.
Yeah.
And then depending on a win or a loss, that depends on our post-game content. So if we win, we have a lot more content to post than if we were to lose. Just highlighting player performances. If anyone did really well, we'll post like a stat, like a motion stat graphic, getting photos to the players. That happens whether we win or lose. So yeah, that's a work day in December during All-Star.
Love that. Yeah, I know. We're experiencing All-Star as well. And it's while it doesn't necessarily affect me, like the team has been talking a lot about, promotion of players and how you kind of balance that with everything else going on. And
Mhm.
holidays, you mentioned, we talked about, we're filming this during the holidays. So it is December 23rd today. So 2 days to Christmas. And, we are lucky enough, the Suns are on the road for Christmas. Do you have a Christmas home game?
We do not play on Christmas this year.
That's nice.
Yeah. We did a post about it back when the Christmas games were announced, if anyone wants to reference back to it. Um, yeah, we weren't excited that we didn't get a Christmas game, especially
Hmm.
since we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, so we play today and we play on the 26th. So, but I am not going home since I live so far. So I did a little trip back between Thanksgiving and Christmas to
That's
celebrate
nice.
family. Mhm.
Yeah. It's kind of what, if people are listening to this and they want to get into sports or they're interested in careers in sports, it's a real thing. If you work in a position like social media, you're on the road occasionally, and during
Mhm.
holidays and breaks, that other people would get during Christmas time and Thanksgiving and New Year's. You're on the road or you're working. How have you experienced that from previous roles working with the Heat now, to be able to do something amazing like working with a basketball team, but also balance work and life during a rigorous NBA season?
I'm pretty fortunate that this is actually the first Christmas I'm gonna be away from home. Thanksgiving, I've missed a bunch of times. So when I missed this year, some of my friends were like, "Oh, that's so sad. Like, how are you not gonna be home?" I'm like, "I'm fine. Like, I'm used to it." But this is the first Christmas that I'm gonna miss. I got to go home last year for a few days. Um, but it's something that you kind of get used to, and in a way, like now that I've been in this industry I was thinking about this for like 6 or 7 years, you kind of don't realize how much you get used to it and how much you're on autopilot
Sure.
until you kind of like take a step back and you're like, oh wait, like, yeah, maybe like this schedule is not normal, but you just get used to it. Like being away from family for holidays, or not being able to go to like certain weddings or certain birthday parties or events. Like when people ask if you're free, it's like, oh, let me look at the heat schedule. Let me see
Sure.
if I am free.
Yeah.
But you learn to balance it. And like I said, today it's been an easy morning and I don't really have to go into work until 3. So I've had my morning to just chill and do what I need to do, all the holiday prep. But I am fortunate to be spending the holidays with some friends. Like I spent Thanksgiving with friends, and then I'll be doing my first Noche Buena with my friends in Miami. So yeah, the balance of working in sports, it takes a different breed to do it.
I love that. Different breed. Yeah. I think about that language a lot of like, you have to be different to work in sports because like you said, you know, those that work outside of sports that work normal 9 to 5s where they come in and then they go and their work doesn't follow them home, you know, it's if you understand that lifestyle and you don't know anything else, then looking at something like you do, where your hours are 9 to 5 some days, 10 to 10 other days, you know, and 8 to 12 another day, you know, depending on game days and things like that.
Mhm.
It's odd, it's different, but like people in this industry, they understand that that's standard. You know, your
Yeah.
social team probably doesn't question when, you know, you've got 8 o'clock start times and weekend games and holiday games. It's just kind of part of the, I guess, the contract that you sign, so to speak, like the metaphorical contract when you kind of get into sports is you get access to some really amazing resources and people, and you get to cover a game. Like at its essence, it's just a game, but it's a game that means so much to people. And we talked about how it meant so much to us as kids. And you just also have to work some crazy hours sometimes. But that's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you know, kind of the contract that you sign and you know, people who understand sports, you mentioned heat culture earlier. And I'm sure every organization has a culture, but it's well known around the NBA that heat culture, like San Antonio culture, is different. There's something about it that Pat Riley from the top down has been able to establish for the team. Do you feel there's also an organization side on the business side of heat culture? And if so, tell us a little about that.
Yes, heavily, heavily. We feel it every day.
Yeah.
Um, it's just excellence and being the best. Heat culture is being gritty, being professional, just doing whatever it takes. And we want to be the best. We don't settle, we don't tank. Yeah, it puts some pressure on you to like step up your game all the time, but you just look around the office and see all these great creatives that you're working with, like from just everyone in the office, not just creatives. But also like that sounds pretty harsh, but it's also a family environment too. Like there's so many people that I see in the office that have been there for like 20 years, 15 plus years. Like it's a family in there. So if you can get in, it's pretty cool and humbling.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that too. Family environment is definitely, I feel like, what you need with working in a rigorous business, because if you're doing it by yourself, you may question a lot of the time, like, why am I working these long hours? Why do I subject myself to 12-hour days and, things like that? But when you're doing it with other people,
Yeah.
it probably makes it a lot easier, right?
Yes, for sure. I remember just like my days at Pac-12 Network. Oh, I haven't talked about that yet.
But we'll
But
get
yeah,
into that. We'll get into that.
yeah, just like having all those football Saturdays, working until 1:30 a.m. And
Mm.
but we were in it together with each other and we didn't know anything different. But yeah, I'll talk more about that later.
Well, let's get into it. So we talked a little bit about how Candace was like the one that kind of sets you on this path of loving sports, probably basketball specifically. But outside of her, or including her, what is your why? Like, why did you get into sports? What was the catalyst moment where you realized this is a business that I want to be in?
Yeah, sports are so unique. I think I realized this working with the Heat because it's the same sport, same 15 guys or 16, 17 guys, however, every night. But it's a different story every night. Like there's never going to be the same story. And that's what's so interesting to me. So I wanted to be a journalist, but I always wanted to be in sports. I love storytelling, and sports has the best stories. So I knew from a very young age, I'd say probably like 12, that I wanted to be a sports journalist. So yeah, I started on the career path and I haven't really strayed from it. I still like to say I'm a journalist, but I just tweet in 140 characters as opposed
Yeah.
to like post or publishing articles.
Yeah. Oh, well, journalism has changed so much,
Mhm.
from newspapers to online articles to now it gets delivered directly to your phone. I mean, and
Yeah.
especially for you, Twitter is a platform that, you know, I don't know how many people are on Twitter, but I'm assuming it's a lot of people. It's like
Yeah.
millions, probably close to a billion people that get their news from Twitter, which maybe could be a little scary that they're getting their news from Twitter. But for you, like, you're delivering news behind the scenes of their favorite team. And I bet you they love that. And I know that, so you went to Indiana University, for your
Yes, I
bachelor's
did.
and your master's program.
Mhm.
And that was your first like job in sports, right? Like the internship that you
Yeah.
had. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So another thing I realized, I another reason I wanted to do sports was because I was an athlete and I knew it wasn't gonna last forever. Like I did track and field. There's not many professional opportunities in track. So working in sports was my way to kind of like stick around the athletes. um but yeah, so one of my teammates actually pointed me towards the social media internship. I saw her one time, like working a sporting event, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And she explained it to me, and that they were looking for someone else. So I interviewed, and I was able to start my career in social media at, I think I was in undergrad, maybe my first year of grad school. But doing that in like 2016. And then the year after that, I was a post-grad intern because I was in grad school. And it was my first step into the social media sports world. We were doing everything from IU football to Indiana basketball games, which were so much fun. I miss all those games. Even as I work for the Heat, I still miss Little Bloomington, Indiana.
Hmm.
Yeah, field hockey, wrestling. It just opened me up to, like, we covered all 24 sports. Our motto is 24 sports, one team. We covered all 24 sports.
24. So you
24
did
sports.
social media for 24 different teams.
Yeah, so we were the IU athletics account. A lot of the SIDs would do like play-by-play stuff. I remember I did volleyball. I did behind the scenes for field hockey. We pretty much helped the SIDs wherever they needed, but football and basketball were our main, and like women's basketball. I would always help out with track and field, whatever they needed, because that's my sport.
Mm.
But yeah, that was my first look into working in sports and social media. And I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. And from there, I was able to get a job at Pac-12 Network, and it was absolutely amazing. It was like Indiana, but intensified, because now not only was it one school, all their sports, it was 12, 14 schools. I can't remember. The conferences nowadays, they're just
just switching all
doing
over the
whatever.
place. I think it's 12 now, right? It's still 12, is it?
I think so.
Well, we'll
Washington,
see. I've
State,
heard that
Oregon,
there's some.
State.
I heard the Big Ten's trying to pull some
They
teams, but we'll
are.
see.
Yeah, I think they might get UCLA and USC. So,
So
yeah.
you go from Indiana as you finish your master's degree, and you go to the Pac-12 offices in San Francisco.
Yes.
Had you ever been to California before, or you were kind of looking at jobs and you said, I want to be here?
I had been to LA once. I knew I wanted to go somewhere without snow. After living in Indiana for 24 years, I was like, I am not living in snow. So my regions were pretty much West Coast and South. Nothing Midwest, nothing Northeast, like Midwest or West Coast and South. That's where I was going.
Yeah, I mean, and for anyone that hasn't been to California, snow does not exist, and people who are there usually have never seen snow before, unless you are up in Lake Tahoe or like in a mountainous region. So you came to the perfect place for no snow.
Yeah, and people were like, oh, by the way, like if you ever want to go see snow, you can go to Tahoe. I'm like, no, I'm here because I don't want to see snow.
Yeah.
Or they would be like, oh, you're so lucky you got to grow up in snow. I'm like, you can tell you didn't grow up in snow from that answer. Because like shoveling and getting up early to wipe your car off and de-thaw it because it was frozen, and having to drive to class on the slick roads, not fun.
I mean, we're talking about grit here. You got to be gritty to live in a place like that.
Yeah. As they're in like 5 inches. I don't know. There's like a big storm right now in the Midwest.
Crazy storm. It's like one of the craziest in decades. So I'm glad that you're in another warm place. So you finish up at Pac-12, and then you were working remotely for STN Digital.
I was, yes. And there I was an account manager, and I had a few clients, and we were pretty much like a service agency. So we would help them with whatever they needed. So I'll just run through some of my clients. So with Topgolf, we were helping out with their social media. They had a really big push for TikTok, so we were giving them a lot of TikTok ideas. We did special projects for the Phillies. They were one of my favorite clients. We did MLSC. We did their community management. So that's Toronto FC, Maple Leafs, and the Raptors. So it's kind of cool to like go from there to the Heat.
That's cool.
And I kind of followed Kyle Lowry, like not working with him, but like seeing a lot of his games and stuff like that. And then now we're both at the Heat. But yeah, and then Fox Sports. Fox was a beast. We did a lot of their spec sheets and banners and ads. So making sure all of those were delivered for like web panels, and we did like a billboard in Times Square. It was like a lot of ads. But yeah, that was STN.
That's awesome. So you went from San Francisco, living in the Bay. By the way, disclaimer, Nakel and I met in San Francisco at our mutual friend's New Year's Eve party in 2019.
2020. Well,
it was 20, yeah. It was 20, yeah. It was the night, but 2019 to 2020. And I remember being so pumped about 2020. Like, this is gonna be my year. Oh, I'm super excited. I had just started with the Warriors then. you were working for Pac-12, and then like a hammer, the pandemic hits. Talk to
Yes.
me about working remotely at ST, like that change of being in the Pac-12 office every day around all your peers, working in social media, throwing ideas out, to like not meeting your coworkers or not seeing your coworkers at all. Like, what was that like for you?
It it was and still is hard. I talk a lot about, like, to my friends and family about grieving my pre-COVID life because it's a
Mm,
thing.
mm,
Um,
that's real.
yeah. And if your life hasn't changed much, like, consider yourself very lucky, because I, like, to anyone watching this or listening this, a lot has happened. I don't have the same job, I don't live in the same place. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Um, but yeah, going from Pac-12, which was absolutely amazing, and it wasn't like we left, like they cut our department. So it was involuntary. Like one day we were working, we kind of sensed it was coming. And then we got an email that night and was uh, like they just scheduled our department. Everyone had a call in like 10-minute windows, and we were checking in on each other. We're like, did you get an email? Did you get an email?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then within 2 weeks, it was over. But it was hard adjusting to remote working. I remember I had to work from home one time at Pac-12. I forgot what happened, but I was like, this is awful, I never want to do this.
Mm,
I was back in the office the next day, just like, how do people like working from home? Like, I don't like it, because I just loved being in the office and collaborating with people, talking with people. Like, it was just great. And then going to STN, where I didn't know my coworkers. um I was just working in my room by myself. You could schedule meetings to talk with people kind of like this, but it's not nearly the same as like being in a room with people, and things just happen so much quicker when you're in person, I think, as opposed to trying to communicate on Teams, and things can get miscommunicated. So yeah, adjusting, going from like Pac-12 to STN, that was really hard for me.
wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Cause I know that it probably was a time that you'd rather kind of leave in the past, but it's really good to kind of have these conversations to be real about it, because I don't think, I don't think there was ever a period for us to get over the pandemic, you know,
Um,
and it's going on still for a lot of people. I mean, there's still COVID, and we still talk about testing. We still talk about wearing masks today. Like, it's not over, but we never
mhm,
really got like a moment to breathe and heal from it. We're just expected to
mhm.
kind of keep on going. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, especially because I feel like remote work is like kind of like glorified, but it's
Mm,
not for everyone, you know? Like, it's cool. Like when I was at STN, I got to travel. Like, I would spend a week with my family in Houston, or
mm,
take a day trip somewhere. Like, that was cool, but sometimes you just need to like be in the office with people too.
sure. Yeah.
And I
I
was like, am
realize
I an extrovert? But
I
no.
think I truly feel the pandemic caused a lot of people to look inward and really identify who they were, because we were just
Mhm.
going for so long. I mean, you went straight from college to a master's to a job, and then everything kind of stopped, and you kind of can realize, okay, I can't have people around me. Am I okay with it? Am I not okay with it?
Mhm.
And you identified like, oh, maybe I am an extrovert or an introvert or an introverted extrovert, where you're kind of
Yeah.
like, I like being around people, but I really need time to. That's how I have learned that I went from being a full on extrovert to an introverted extrovert, where I know
Mm.
I need time to be at home, and like I am a homebody and I love being on the couch with my wife and just like chilling, versus going out all the time and being around people. Um, and the pandemic caused me to kind of sit back and understand that. So for you, it sounds like you missed that extroverted uh, nature that really was like social media's bread and butter is just being around people. Even
Mhm.
though it's all on phones, like to collaborate around those things. Have you been able to kind of find a lot of that now that you're in more of a hybrid environment with the heat?
Yes, and thank goodness. I
Mm,
remember like within 2 weeks at the heat, I told my coworkers, I was like, I'm still thankful to be back in an office. Like, I just feel so much more productive when we're able to collaborate in person. And that's just like flat out. Like, even when I'm at home working with like in my current job, working at the heat, and I'm trying to think of things by myself, I'm like, this would be so much easier if I were at the office. So I'm glad I have that opportunity now, because I went to the STN office once. It was in San Diego, so I flew down for a day. Um, and even that was nice. And there were like 4 people in there. But just to like be around people at like in an office, it's crazy how much we took that for granted pre-pandemic,
oh yeah,
pre-COVID.
absolutely. I think that
Mhm.
having the hybrid nature is really good for, again, people that like both things. They like to be in the office when they need to work, but they also like, time by themselves. And it's nice that there's that flexibility, because I worked in a job during COVID that I did not meet my coworkers a single time. And it was so strange to have everything like this over a computer. And then when I left, I never met these people, and I may never meet these people. It's just a
Mhm.
weird like realization for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very strange. Um, okay, let's shift to kind of just some things that are going on in your world right now. We could talk about a ton of different things going on with social media.
Mhm.
Whether it's what is happening with Twitter, and the Brian Windhorse meme of like, what's going on? What's going on with Twitter right now? Or the rise of TikTok. I mean, that's become like the next social media giant that the NBA is looking into, and I'm sure your team as well as mine is like bringing on new channels. So the floor is yours. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah. Um, so this is kind of funny. You know how Instagram has those notes now?
You know,
You have them on
I
on your
may be dating myself here. I don't know about Instagram notes.
wait.
Oh
I,
wait. It's like your status that lasts for 24 hours.
yeah.
I did not know they were called notes.
Actually,
I'm learning things today.
I think you delete them yourself. I don't think they go away, do they?
Well, I put a note. So a couple days ago was my birthday. The 20th was my
Oh, happy
birthday.
belated birthday.
Thank you. And I put it was like a Kawhi Leonard, like 28 baby on
Oh,
my Instagram note. And then the next day it was gone. So
oh, so they do go away.
I think they go away. I did not know they were called notes. Okay, continue about
Oh,
Instagram
yeah.
notes.
So this is just my opinion. I think it was a way that Instagram kind of like, it was like a nice little jab at Twitter for everything that they were going through.
Mm,
Like, set your status here if Twitter's going up in flames. That's just what I think.
interesting. Okay, I like that.
I don't know how long notes are gonna last. I feel like they're temporary, or they might be statuses. I don't know. But yeah, we're waiting to get it on the Heat account. We don't have it for some reason. I don't know if verified accounts don't have it, but that would be something cool to do. Um,
That's interesting. So maybe verified account. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a verified account, so I wouldn't know. But that's interesting that you don't have it on yours,
mhm.
on the social channel. Huh. Okay. Some hard hitting. See, we're getting into some journalism today. You maybe just broke the story that Instagram is taking jabs at Twitter over notes.
Yeah, I think it's funny. But yeah, Twitter has a new CEO, hopefully effective immediately. I saw she tweeted it last night. I don't remember her name, but I saw that Elon posted the poll. He was like, should I step down? And I guess it got more no votes than yes. So he's a man of his word, I guess, if he really is stepping down.
Let's
And
find out what her name is for
yeah,
everyone.
I said it once last night, and now I don't remember.
Is it Bess Kalb?
Yes,
Okay. And
I
an
never.
Emmy-nominated comedy writer. Bess
Yeah,
Kalb, new
yeah.
CEO of Twitter.
So we'll see. I don't know anything about her, but we'll see how it goes.
Was I think it was just a couple months long reign of Elon Musk, like, did that affect how you do what you do, like in a big way?
I think one of the worst things. So two things I can think of. The most recent change with like you can no longer post links from other platforms, but it
Oh, I saw
wasn't
that.
TikTok wasn't on the list, which that's good because we cross promote that. But we were a little nervous about like Shopify and Facebook and Instagram are on the list, so can't cross promote those platforms. So that threw us for a little bit of a loop. The other thing was the whole Twitter Blue when people could pay for verified accounts. That was awful. And now people are still verified. So whenever we want to go through our verified mentions, it's like random people.
I
That
thought
we
that
just
was
paid for
hilarious
verification.
that there were accounts that were not people becoming verified as those people. Like, what a
Yeah.
wild, wild west, like just big cluster going on, that
It
you've got
was a mess.
people pretending to be other people, but they also get verified. So you're wondering, wait, is it that person? Like all these
Yeah.
false identities going on.
Yeah. And I think there was one fake account who tweeted something and then it actually like messed up their stock. I can't remember who that is.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I don't
was
remember
like,
that. Yeah. See, I need, I need like a big research board right here where we're like talking about things. I'm just like, okay, what is this? Because I remember
mhm,
that, and it tanked their stock, and
yeah,
that's big money when you're like messing
yeah.
with, you know, daily traders going on with tweets. It's crazy that a tweet, you know, we're talking about sports
Hmm.
being just like a fun game, but you say something and it can affect business, money,
Hmm.
you know, savings, bank
Yeah.
accounts, people's livelihood, just with a couple words. It's crazy the power that it has.
Hmm. Yeah. So hopefully Twitter restores itself back to normal.
Yes, one would hope that it would
Yeah.
rise from where it's at. But regardless, we're glad that you are holding it down with the Miami Heat. What are you looking forward to in 2023?
That's a good question. My birthday is in 11 days. I'm on the phone now. So
Congratulations.
January
Happy
3rd.
early birthday.
Thank you. That's how I usually start my year. Usually meaning all the time.
Wait, so we
Um,
both Capricorns?
yes.
Love that.
Hmm.
I'm like on the cusp. I've been told that the 19th is like where Sagittarius ends and Capricorn begins.
Oh,
So I'm the 20th,
actually,
so like a cusp.
oh,
But
yeah, I
anyway,
don't know. I know I'm a Capricorn.
I'm on the Capricorn side. I don't even know what that means. A lot of people talk about horoscopes. I don't know what a
Mhm.
Capricorn does or means. It's kind of a funny name though, so I will claim it.
Yeah, and I like it because we're the goats.
We are goats.
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay,
I
I'm
don't know much
sold.
about it, but we're the goats.
I'm sold. I like being a goat. That's cool. That's dope.
Yeah.
Um, this has been
Uh,
great, Nakel. Thank you so much for joining me. Um, where can our listeners and viewers, when we get those, because right now this is pre me
mhm,
launching anything when we're recording this,
mhm.
where can they follow you? I will put all that information in our show notes. So what accounts can people follow you besides the Miami Heat accounts? And go
Yes.
follow Miami Twitter right now so you can
Yes.
see the latest fire that Nakel is
Twitter,
dropping.
Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of them.
Okay, we
All of
will
the
we'll
Miami accounts.
great. I can do that.
Yes.
And what about your accounts? If you want people to like, do you
Me.
like post work on your accounts?
Um, I don't. I need to get better at that. Um,
It's a New Year's
Follow me
resolution.
on I'm the worst. I feel like there's two types of social media managers. There are those who post a lot and those who post little because they're always posting for their job. I I I give props to people who keep their personal accounts alive because I think I've tweeted 3 times in the past 5 months.
Hey,
So, but you can follow me on Twitter if you want at Nakel McClinton, at Nakel McClinton on LinkedIn. There's only one Nakel McClinton, so pretty easy to find.
there's only one, and she's a Capricorn goat. So don't forget. Yeah, we'll link that all in our show notes too. But thank you so much for joining me. This has been really great for me. A good start to hopefully a long life for role players. So I appreciate you and your time today. And happy holidays, and have a good one.
Yeah, same to you. Thanks, BJ.
That's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping in. Had a great conversation with Nakel. I hope you learned something today. Final push for the show. Please feel free to like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. New episodes every single Tuesday. And again, if you have any comments as well, please feel free to add in your comments to whatever platform you're listening to right now. It really helps me improve the show. I want to make sure this is the best product out there. So thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Peace.